everybody. Welcome back to P&M's Movie Criticisms. I'm Miss M.
And I'm Miss P.
That's right. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. And if you're joining us again, well, it's always so lovely to have you. With that being said, you know what it's time for, Miss P. Miss P, can you please tell everybody what we're reviewing today?
Today, we are reviewing The Wolfman of 2025.
Yeah, the Wolfman. So let's talk about the Wolfman. But first, we got to run it through our hot sauce chart. So, as you know, we like to give you a rundown. For those of you who know, well, you're familiar. But for our new people, we rate all of our movies based off of the hot sauce chart. P&M's movie criticisms hot sauce chart, that is. At the top is the Carolina Reaper. Nothing's hotter, nothing's better. This film captures everything. Coming in at number 2, we have the Ghost Pepper. The Ghost Pepper is hot, but there's some elements that we're missing, okay? But we know we love this movie. Then we have the Habanero. The Habanero's like, oh, this is a good movie. It's not bad. It's not bad. I like it a lot. It's good. But there still were things that could have been done better. We have the jalapeno. The jalapeno is like, okay, it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad, And then you have the bell pepper. The bell pepper is the lowest on the list. This is a flop, this is a mess. I want my money back. Please, I want the minutes that I spent watching this back. Right, Miss P?
That is correct.
Yep. And with that said, how do you rate Wolfman?
It's getting a big old fat jalapeno from me.
Jalapeno. Okay.
And what do you rate it, ma'am?
Well, there are some things that I liked, but there are some things I didn't like. I would have to rate it. I'm in between a jalapeno and a habanero.
Boo, popcorn. Boo.
Boo. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, we really just cannot rate it on our chart without explaining it, right? So this is where we have our criteria come in to help us explain it and give reasons as to why we are rating it the way we are. So introducing to all of our newcomers, P&M's movie criticisms criteria. Miss P, can you tell them more about that?
Number 9, do we like it or do we love it? Is it historically accurate? Number 7, did it strike my emotions? Number 6, did it keep my attention? Number 5, production elements. Number 4, directing. Number 3, the quality of acting. Number 2, the sound quality and the effects. And number 1, my favorite thing, cinematography.
That's right, cinematography. Haha. So, taking it back to number 9, Miss P, do you like it or do you love it?
Low key, almost as bad as Mad Max Furious.
Oh no, you know what this means. We're gonna probably go on to the next film, so it'll be a new week, a new film that we review, and she's still gonna be talking about the previous week. Okay. But you know what? I'm just messing with Miss P, y'all. I'm just messing with her. I'm gonna say I like it. I don't love it, but I do like it.
Boo. Once again, popcorn.
Well, hey, let's talk about it. Okay, so
Okay.
let's talk about number 8. So number 8, we do like to talk about, is it historically accurate? Of course, this is a fictional film, so we'll look at behind the scenes type of historical accuracy. About number 8, what do you have to say, Miss P?
Okay. So The Wolfman has been done about 55 times. From this year all the way going back. I think this is one of the worst ones. It's captivating, but it's kind of like, I'm going to throw this movie on and do other stuff in the back, like while it plays in the background. Because is it historically accurate? This movie, let's just talk about spoilers really quick. This movie for me was like, oh no, if I get nicked, I get the werewolf virus. See, all the other times it's been a bite, not just a scratch. It's always been like a bite, and then they go into the lore. You can't have silver, to kill them. You have to have silver. You have to shoot them a certain way, like there was none of that. And this movie talked a lot about generational trauma. Like, there was a lot of generational trauma because the dad was trying to take care of the son. The son then in turn internalized that, and then he was kind of like halfway mean but halfway nice to his daughter. So this movie was a lot about generational trauma more than the werewolf man. What do you think, Miss M?
Well, definitely. I think those are definitely some really good points to take into consideration, especially when we're talking about the story arc. But before I touch on that, I would like to touch on who the director of The Wolfman is. This is directed by Leigh Whannell. The writing credits are by Leigh Whannell and Corbett Tuck, starring Christopher Abbott, who portrays Blake, Julia Garner, portrays Charlotte. This is mother and father right here. And then Matilda First portrays their daughter, Ginger, and then Sam Digger is Blake's father, Grady. So, anyways, so generational trauma. I guess this will help to do with our beginning, middle, and story arc. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves really too much, but I suppose if you look at it from the perspective of generational trauma, then the ending of the movie is very fitting.
And that's the happiest part. It was over.
It's fitting. I mean, it's sad, but it's fitting. And in that case, symbolically, then if we really look at it from that standpoint, then I would have to give it on the hot sauce chart because I think you brought up a really good point. And I'm gonna have to look at my chart again. Um, I would have to give it a jalapeno because from that perspective, it completes the story arc. Because in the beginning, you have a father, he's in between jobs. So he's being a full-time dad right now. Mom is fully engrossed in work. Dad has all of the relationship time and points with his daughter. Mom and daughter are kind of like strangers, okay? This concerns dad. In the beginning of the movie, I'm trying not to give as many spoilers as possible. So in the beginning of the movie, we learn that his father is missing. And then he gets papers saying, confirming that he's, well, deceased. Yeah, and then he gets the keys to the cabin that he grew up in. And so this pushes our story forward to him saying to his wife, I know you're the only family that I have left. And please, let's go together to my childhood home, pack things up. I think this would be good for us. And they do. They do when they go. And then that's when things start to happen. So yeah, I think I agree with you. And also, one thing I would like to say is, I was like, Ryan Gosling. What about you, Miss P?
Well, he dropped out of the movie, so I was like, okay. When your biggest star drops out of the movie, I'm just like,
And according to, was it the Hollywood Reporter that said that Ryan had some scheduling conflict, so he couldn't do it? So historically wise, that was going on in film. So in this case, we talk about the history like this, and Ryan Gosling's a busy guy, so they got Christopher Abbott. I'm
I
like,
mean, he
well,
did a good job. He carried what he could of that movie. I just don't feel that the writing was good because it's just old trope redone over and over again. It's not something fresh and new, you know? It's just it's done. It's kind of like it's repetitive. Like I enjoyed the movie for the action. This time, I can say this movie had a lot of action, it had a lot of moving part, but the story was just not there for me. It was a lot of trauma. Like that's what you saw. Like I don't think that they were counting on the trauma coming out necessarily, but that's what you saw. It was
but
just trauma.
but that's what makes it different from all the other Wolfmans old movies, right?
If you get into the emotional aspect, sure. I mean, it's kind of, oh, let's get into the emotions. No,
But that's what
boy.
makes it different.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that one. Yes, it makes it different, but I mean, it takes away from what you really want to see, which is the Wolfman going to town. You see what I'm saying? when you're used to certain monsters, right? You already know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like that's just like Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger, Chucky. You already know what to expect with these guys, right?
Hmm.
So my thing is when you take the Wolfman and you take him out of his element and you add all these emotional elements in, it makes for a either it's going to be better or it's going to be worse. And for me, it was mediocre. Like I understand what they were going for and I appreciate them for it, but it just didn't do the movie justice for me.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. For me, I love it when filmmakers are daring and they dare to go outside of the trope. They dare to move outside of the cookie cutter. I love it. I love when filmmakers go outside of the box because that's what artists are supposed to do. Artists are supposed to get outside of the box and they're supposed to redefine and set a new standard. And I love when filmmakers do that. I do. Now, for me, the generational trauma there, it comes to an end when we think about our story. Now, I don't want to give away the ending. I want you to go and I want you to watch it for yourself. I know the different ratings that you're seeing online, okay? I know, I get it. But I really want you to go. We both want you to go and watch this movie. And we want you to judge it for yourselves because film is a reflection of ourselves. Every time we watch a film, we're seeing a piece of ourselves in it. And I think for many people, there is a thing called generational emotional trauma that's passed on from parent to offspring. And what I will say is that symbolically, at the end of this movie, that generational trauma is killed. That's what I will
It's
say.
yeah. But now she has to internalize that for the rest of her life. If she has kids, what is that? Do you see what I'm saying? What is that going to do for her? What is that going to do to her? Like,
Well,
that's
there's
still
always,
trauma.
well, warfare, there's always your casualties somewhere. We have casualties, unfortunately. And when you talk about generational trauma, you're talking about warfare within the family, right?
Uh,
And unfortunately, this is one of the side effects, but that's what happens with war. It's not a pretty thing, and it has its scars.
Number 7, did it strike my emotion? Apparently so.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently so.
What really struck your emotions about this film, Miss P?
When you gotta kill the generational trauma bearer, the start of it all.
And he was I like him. He's a good dad, a good person. He wasn't a bad person at all. He was concerned about his marriage.
But I'm talking about the dad.
I am, yeah, me too. Oh, the dad.
Yeah, the dad, not the son, but the actual father, his father, the generational curse starter. It started with the dad because he had no business. Like, you know how you meet those people that are weird and they're like, I'm going to do this because I'm going to live off the grid because, all different types of reasons. No judgments, no judgments if you live off the grid, do you? But at the end of the day, he created so much trauma for his son that his son didn't even stay there. He moved to the city to be around noise, to be around people. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That those are the two polar opposites. Like you have one person that's like, I am strong, I can do this, and I'm gonna make sure that I teach my son how to survive and be a survivalist. And his son was like, I don't want to do this. This isn't for me. And he turns his back basically on everything that he learned, except when they were in that moving truck and he got his family to escape. Yeah, that survivalist stuff started kicking in there.
Yeah. Yeah. If you grow up with a parent that is strict, has very, very high expectations, the truth is, as a child, you never like it. When you think about the history behind it, of course he was. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. A lot of that stuff and his strictness, when you're an adult, it kicks in and you're like, whoa. And you start to understand how your parents that came before you at a different time, but a different setting with different players, but it's really actually the same game. right? It didn't change. It's just a different setting, but even that in itself changes everything. But anyway, so yeah, that did strike my emotions. And when his wife, I'd like the 360 shot around his wife when everything is just starting to hit the fan. I really like that because she's like, at first we're like, okay, we're gonna wait this out until morning, right? We're just gonna wait this out until morning. We have the classic, when daylight comes, everything's fine, right? But it couldn't because as the story progresses, they go to the cabin in the woods, and it's unfamiliar to him. So this guy's like, "Hey, yo, I'll show you," right? But things get shaky the moment they end up on the road to his father's house. This mysterious presence appears, and as a result, they end up in a tree, literally. And then this mysterious presence shows itself again, and it takes some flesh with it. And they make it back to his cabin, but he's injured. And he begins to make, I don't want to say it's not gradual, it's fast. It's a fast transformation because all of this is happening in just a few hours. And he makes this descent into a wolf, I suppose. And I thought it was interesting, like when we saw things from his perspective, how she sounded and everything, and that really loud spider. Remember the really loud spider?
Yeah. And I was like, please take that hammer and just hit it because it was so loud. Like it was unbelievably loud. But you knew something was wrong when he was, oh, I found a piece of my dad's jerky. That stuff had to be there for like 30 something years and you're gonna just eat it out of the ew. And then he's like, oh, I think I might have hurt my jaw. He lost a tooth. These are things that you start to notice when he's laying on the couch and he can't talk. He starts to lose his hair. He just takes his hair and he runs his hands through his hair and his hair comes out in his hand. It was just things that you see that you notice.
Right. And then the daughter Ginger, played by Matilda Firth, she's like, "Mommy, he's sick," and mommy's like, "Yeah, yeah, he's sick." And this is more than just a sickness, though, right? This is the stuff of myths and legends, right? So, but what else are you gonna call it? At that time, at that moment, you're gonna call it a sickness, and it's not really until, say, maybe 20 or 30 years can you go back and look and say, "Whoa, I saw my dad turn into a werewolf right before my eyes, and I saw the transformation process, and it was
Mhm.
insane." Like, wow, talk about a night. And for being a city girl, she moved around pretty well. Like because she didn't even know. She's like, how are we going to call people when he was still coherent? He was like, oh, we're going to use a radio. She was using that radio. She was trying to get people. Nobody was answering her. So,
But
again,
see, they were, but she couldn't hear it. She couldn't get on the right channel because people were trying to respond back to her. Because if you listen, there was somebody talking on the other end and she got mad. She got frustrated and turned it off.
okay, well, in that case, she really wasn't working at the best. But she tried. She tried, right?
But see, this is where the story falls flat for me because they could have gave her more dialogue. They could have, and this is the first time that you'll ever hear me say give them more dialogue because all that running about and that little girl, oh my goodness. She was a great actress, right? But every 5 seconds you could hear all that extra breathing and she would fall. I can't go any further. I can't run. I'm so tired. I'm like, if your life is on the line, you gonna run. You gonna find that energy somewhere within your body
That's
to
easy to
keep
say, Miss
going.
P. You haven't been chased by a werewolf before.
No, no.
Man, this is why everybody listen. This is why you stay in the gym. This is why you go for your daily walks because you never know what's gonna happen. Do you think that she knew this was gonna happen? Do you think Charlotte knew this was gonna happen? Played by Julia Garner. Do you think Charlotte knew this was gonna happen? Do you think she believed werewolves existed? No. This is why you stay in shape because you never know what you're gonna have to do. You always need to be in fighting shape, everybody. Remember, that's our advice.
Well, if you stay ready, you'll never have to get ready. That's
So
right.
he'd be like, I'm glad I followed Miss P and Miss M's advice. I'm glad
Okay,
we
now,
followed their advice.
did it keep my attention? We already answered that basically. So number 5, the production element. How much did this movie make, Miss M?
Okay, so when we go back and really look at what this movie made, they had a budget of about $25 million. Okay. So, all right. So that's that budget, right? But when you look at what it made $34.9 million is what it made. So basically, when it came in, when Wolfman debuted on its opening weekend, it made $10 million. $10 million against this budget. Okay. And so that's $25 million. And then when they continued to keep going, they also had, so we're looking at the total domestic box office territories of about $20 million. Okay. And then an additional $12 million came in from the international market. So for looking at it from a professional standpoint, it was not a box office success because it didn't make at least twice its budget. So it would have had to make $50 million to be considered a success, and it didn't. It brought in $34.9 million.
But see, and here's the thing, people are divided. People either really love this movie or they think it's worse than Mad Max Furiosa. That would be me,
There
thinking
goes
it's
Wolf.
worse than Mad Max Furiosa. And so what did we think about the direct?
Wait. Production elements. The
That's what
production
we were just
value.
talking about.
I want to put in something about the production value. I like the production value with those master shots of Oregon. I thought that was pretty.
That's cinematography.
But it's also production value though, Miss P. And you gotta show off your location. Location, location, location.
Hey, get out of my brain.
So I just wanted to put that in there. I mean, it was a really nice. I mean, it's pretty simple. It wasn't a big budget. It was all pretty much filmed in one spot. Well, how many locations did they possibly have? You have the house, okay. You have the apartment. You have the apartment, and then that's one, okay. And then
You have the greenhouse,
the
you have
green,
the barn,
and that's all in one spot.
you have the tree house.
And
I
all,
mean, that's the tree house, but the hunter's hut up in the tree landing, I forget what they're called, but
yeah.
if you hunt, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna count the treehouse, the greenhouse, the cabin, all as one location because of the proximity of them all. And so that's two. And then it's outside of her workplace, right?
Uh-huh.
So pretty much three. Okay, so that's suitable for the budget of the film. You don't want too many locations with that budget. And so I really like that. That's all I wanted to say. I just like the master shots of the Oregon and everything, showcasing the location.
So the quality of acting, once again, for me, fell flat. There was too many plot like potholes in the actual storyline. So it was just like both women, both girls were just running around screaming and breathing hard, and every so often she would cut or stab or jab him with the knife, or it was just she didn't have very much dialogue. Like, it's kind of one of those things, it's like, be scared now, act scared now. And so that got tiring because it was just a lot of, it wasn't jump scares, which, I'm glad they didn't have that many, but it was kind of just be scared now, act scared now, breathe heavy now. It wasn't the best. I think when both wolf men were fighting, I think that was a good fight. I enjoyed that part of the movie because it was close to the end. But I enjoyed that part of the movie. The quality of acting, I'll tell you who the best actor to me was. The weird, creepy guy in the beginning
The
that you
weird
just felt,
creepy guy. I know.
yeah.
Okay, so the weird creepy guy in the beginning, that is that is Benedict Hardy, who portrayed Derek Hill. He had like maybe a good 5 minutes of screen time. That was it.
But the way that they got him though, when he opened that door and did the why they always got to land with the one leg up type deal. Whenever there's an accident from high up, they always land with one of their legs up. So I'm just like, he did that. He opened the door and fell out, but he was just so odd and so creepy. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll show you how to get to your dad's house." And I was like, "This is getting a little creepy."
But it's
And
realistic.
that's why I liked it. That was the part of the movie that I was like, yes, this can take a turn or it could not take a turn. And it took a turn.
It took a
And then,
turn.
yeah, it took a turn. So I was like, yeah. And then after that, that's when it started going flat. And then when the two Wolfmen fought each other, that was a good highlight. And then let's go back really quick. If you looked at how he saw his wife and his daughter, it was almost as if they were angelic like, because their eyes were like not their eyes and they had like a glow around them. It
Yeah.
was kind of like they were very angelic like, or like he was writing a story because he was a writer. So remember, he's losing his ever loving mind and he promised his daughter that he would never hurt her. And so they look like angels to him, I think. Like when he was really starting to transform and go, 100% Wolfman, I think that he saw them as angels and he was like, I will not hurt them. I won't hurt them. Because he came back. And it's like, it's me, it's me, it's me. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. And lured the other Wolfman away and said, go to the house, go to the house.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. The light that he sees everything with, and when we look at things from his perspective, I liked that. I thought that was very interesting how he sees things. And for me, I can see the angelic side, but there are some things that look a little demonic too to me. But definitely mom and daughter, if he didn't have them, his descent into a wolfman just would have been that much faster. Their presence kept him grounded in his normal, healthy frame of mind. I think they definitely kept him together. They definitely did. And as for like the mom and everything, I think she acted kind of like, oh, you normally would in that case, with the acting and mom. And she just has the casting wasn't bad with the mom because the actress has this look with the way that they dressed her. Everything is just, it has a very helpless look to her, but she's not so helpless. She's not as helpless as she looks. And she was pretty proactive, because, again, they were trying to just wait out the night. But with his hair falling out and him starting to eat himself and everything, she was like, you know what? We need some help. She was pretty good. She was like, okay, this is an old car. I'm gonna jump it. You know, she
She was
knew
handy.
she knew
Like
how
she
to put that.
wasn't just a city girl.
No, she wasn't just a city girl. She knew how to put the negative and the positive onto the battery. I'm like, okay, girl, you know something about some vehicles here. She got that old truck up and running to get out of there. Okay. And then when dad just loses all of his humanity, just gone. He's 100% wolf now. They run. She says she gets one of those bear traps and sets it out for him. I mean, that was really good. She was doing it. And so I was like, okay, city girl, represent. Represent. I think she did her thing. And as far as the acting is concerned, I would have liked to see Matilda first as an actress really bring Ginger out more. And this also goes to the director because the directors are supposed to help bring it out, especially for an actress so young as Matilda. She had such an awesome relationship with her father. I would have loved to see more emotion, and because you're watching your father de-transform to the point of dying, and that's who you spend all of your time with. I think if we could have gotten more of that from her, it would have completed the acting, Charlotte and Blake, the parents.
Now, here's the thing. Sound quality and effect. The effects were really nice because the Wolfman, when they were fighting, him biting out the neck. I
Oh,
mean, that was pretty good. Like I like action, so I'm always gonna go with the not the most glorious thing, but the fighting and the action. that's that's where my mind went. The effects was really good. The sound, I wish they would have used more music or more just surrealist sounds, like use the sound of where the location was to let you know, like the crickets chirping or and add that suspense in like that because sometimes you think you're safe in your own house and you're not. And
Oh.
so that could have been more suspenseful, like for me.
But I was
But go
still
ahead.
surprised when he was just there behind his daughter, and she didn't even have a clue until
Well,
Mom was like,
I was
"What?"
like, do you not see him creeping, lurking around? And I was like, I guess not because he's a wolf. He can hear better, see better, smell better.
He's
But
quiet
I
on
was
his
just
feet
like,
too, and I
yeah, I
think
was
that's
like,
what they
come
want.
on. But here's the thing, suspense. If you're gonna do that weird stuff like that, I'm not saying use the sound, but there's certain things that you always know when the bad guys are coming.
But you did, but Miss P, you knew the bad guy was coming.
Well, we saw it, and then he was just there, and I was just like, and I didn't like that. I was just like, ooh, yeah, no, that's a backhand. Like when people just sneak up on you, and you don't know that they're there, and you turn around. I thought it was good, but I am a big. If you're gonna do a horror movie, there's just certain elements of horror that I need to be in a movie. If you're gonna do a true movie, like I'm not saying have the Michael Myers theme or the Jason theme or the no, none of that. I'm saying use the natural sounds that are around you and amplify them and make them. You can make stuff like that scary without it being scary.
Sometimes the absence of sounds is scary.
Yeah, but not in this.
Have you
Not in
ever
this.
been in just like true quiet?
Mhm.
Like, it's just truly quiet. You don't have any buzzing going on, no electricity flowing. You don't have any sound waves or frequencies going from you, because your computer puts off a frequency wave, your television, everything. Sometimes when you have no sound, I think it's creepier. But, Miss P, I see your point of view, and I agree. But I think the director was going for a different. Lee Whannell was going for something different, or is it Lee Whannell? Lee Whannell, Lee Whannell. You know what, Lee? Just drop me a message and tell me it's Whannell or it's Whannell. Okay, okay. Just drop me a message, Lee. Drop me a message. So I think if you are gonna go outside of the box, maybe if indeed he perhaps was going for we're gonna do something different, no sound, then you gotta capitalize on that to the max, and get your audience used to that absence of sound and from early on with suspense. It has to start early in the film because it's just not what your viewer is used to. That way, when you get up to say the climax and then the middle part of our story, which is where dad is changing and everything, then you can start. But I do think that when it comes to the quality of acting and also to talk about the directing, I think the appropriate actions happened to push the story forward. And I do think that the B-roll suited its purpose if you paid attention in the beginning. I don't want to talk about it. Try not to give any spoilers, but if you pay attention to the B-roll, okay, to those secondary shots in there, then they do make sense as you watch the film, and they not only help to tell the story and push the story forward, it helps to answer some questions because my mind was asking a question, okay? And the only thing I'm gonna say is that such and so? Is that who I think it is? And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Gotta watch the film.
Now to my number one favorite thing in America, cinematography. It was beautifully shot. The greens were green, the sky was blue, the water was murky but clear in some parts. So the cinematography for this movie, if I had to rate it anything, now that would be a ghost pepper. For the cinematography, that would be a 100% ghost pepper because it was beautifully shot. Um, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but you have to watch that and just look, just look around. Just look around at the actual shot because that ending was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Miss M?
Well, yeah, those shots were very nice. Yeah, staying, it was very nice work. I liked it a lot. I did. I liked it. You couldn't beat it really when it comes to those master shots. You know, you couldn't do better. You couldn't. And the cinematography was done by Stefan Dossio, and the director for the photography was done by Ruari O'Brien. And again, if I said your name incorrectly, just drop me a note. Be like, hey, Miss Sam, how are you? Is you like Yari or something? You know, break it down for me. Okay. But they did their thing on the cinematography. Miss P is a stickler. She understands that you're filming at night, but she still wants to see things. She still wants to know what's going on. And you saw some visual cues in there. It was good. It was pretty good. What do you think about production design?
I feel like less is more, and in this movie, less was more.
Yeah.
I thought the best shot for me, production design, was the greenhouse
Yeah.
on top of the. That was pretty nice. Because that has never been done before, really. I mean, it's been done before, but it hasn't been done like that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that for my, set production, that's nice. That whole how it was filmed, it was dark. I could still see. I wasn't straining to see. Like I wasn't looking at figures so far away. I'm just like, what am I looking at? Why are they running? Everything was nicely done.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk, it was done. It was done very well. It was shot well, I think. I mean, for what it is, I don't think it's bad. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But when you put into generational trauma, it does have a clear. When you look at it from the perspective of generational trauma, it does complete a story arc, and it does have a beginning, middle, and an end. Okay, so for those of you who are like, look at it. Look at it from that perspective, and then tell us. Let's start a dialogue, let's start a conversation. Tell us what you think when you look at it from that perspective of generational trauma.
Do you think there was generational trauma in this actual film? Or do you think I'm just being, overshoot?
You know,
Let me know in the comments.
yeah,
Come to our podcast. Go to Spotify, go to Apple, go to YouTube. We
iHeartRadio.
have Instagram, iHeartRadio. We have TikTok. We're about to have a Facebook. We have a Patreon. Let us know what is going on. Let us know what you think. Is this generational trauma? Question mark.
Question mark. Exactly. Tell us what you think, everybody. We want to start a dialogue with you. We want to have discussions with you. We would like to get involved with you. Tell us what you think. I think that's about it, Miss P. What do you think?
I think we did it. We did the thing.
I think so too. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. If it was your first time, I hope you enjoyed your time with us. Please come back again. And hey, if you're here again, it was nice to see you. We want to see you again. And with that said, well, I'm Miss M, and I'm about this piece.
And I'm Miss P. Bye.
See you next week.